This is quite the interesting time to be recording a garden tour in. It's raining. We just got some pouring rain. So of course, yet again this week, I'm gonna have to separate the garden tour from the harvest. But that won't stop me from recording a garden tour today. So today in this video, I'm gonna be recording the garden, showing you exactly what happened. And guys, trust me, it looks amazing this week. I have some crazy stuff to show you, but we actually have to get into the garden to show you. Still the same old deal, you just flip this down and open up the gate like usual, like this. And there you go, now your gate is open, guys. You see this? So let's start off with the first crazy upgrade in this garden. We got rid of this row of strawberries right here. This whole row is gone. These strawberries are from 2020, and the area was getting so overgrown that we literally had no other choice but to literally just wipe this whole area from like literally all of its remaining strawberries. I'm pretty sure like none of them were alive anyways in the first place. But the rest of them also got weeded as well. These guys don't need to get weeded because of the way they were built, which I think we should have done for the rest of them, because it actually prevents the weeds from growing on them. As you guys can clearly see here, this whole area has been weeded. And let me just say, weeding strawberries has got to be one of the most obnoxious tasks ever. If you've ever weeded strawberries, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because guys, weeding strawberries is difficult, but weeding blueberries on the other hand, it's a bit easier. So let's get into the real garden and show you the real surprise. You may have already saw it. Now let's walk through this gate and show you the green beans. And as you guys can clearly see, there's a ton of them right over here. Like usual, you can just see beautiful green beans. I have to do the harvest tomorrow because, as you guys know, this beautiful quote-unquote rainstorm decided to come in and give us like 2 inches of rain pretty quickly. That's at least what the pool is telling me. The weather station up back is saying 3/4 of an inch. I'm not knowing how to believe it. But as you guys can clearly see here, tons, and I mean tons of green beans coming in here, tons of flowers too. As you guys can see, that's the most important part. We need the flowers, but the greatest part about this is what happened next door. This whole area, remember last week, there was a ton of weeds here. This week, can't say the same anymore. So yeah, guys, we actually got rid of a ton of the weeds that we actually had issues with over here. We had a ton of these tall plants that were like at least 6'2", 6'3". For comparison, I'm a little bit under 6 foot, but these guys were like literally right up to here, which is crazy to think about because me personally, I wouldn't really be taking that. They were also not only here though, they were also over here. And guys, they're gone now, that's for sure. But most importantly, we got rid of all the weeds around this back end here. And I'll show you more. There's tons of sumac here. I was able to hit most of this first area with just the basic weed whacker because all these weeds here were like impossible to actually uproot. Over there though, they were a bit easier to uproot though, as you guys can clearly see here. This is pretty basic. Same goes for over here. I still haven't yet gotten to weeding this area yet. I'll get into weeding the actual raised bed pretty soon though. We also got rid of this row. An interesting story, there was actually a loose green bean in here. I accidentally ripped it out of the ground when ripping out those huge weeds, and sadly it killed my poor green bean. But I did get 3 green beans off of it, and it was just a one-off green bean and there was none other. Quick little update on our basil patch. It is alive and well, but there's flowers trying to form on here. And if you guys know anything about growing basil, you don't want the flowers on there, guys. You see this? These guys right now are pretty decent. That's only because I got in here on Saturday and got rid of all the stuff that was on top of these basil plants. But guys, I forgot to weed one thing. Now we don't have any more issues. So yeah, basil's looking really nice though. Same thing goes for our jalapeno peppers though. You guys can clearly see right here, our jalapeno peppers and bell peppers too are alive and well. As you guys probably know, recently we got hit with Hurricane Debbie and it caused a lot of issues in our garden, which includes, but not limits, knocking over our bell peppers. This guy is dead. He's been dead for a while. I don't know why. We haven't picked him yet. But as you can see, nothing was really able to save these guys. So I'm gonna have to put in a little bit of extra dirt in here to get these guys to stand up. Don't worry, they're not dead though. They're not dead. And also we have these pepper plants over here. I like to call these guys the deformed peppers because, as you guys can see, they're not in the greatest shape, but they still apparently taste good. I had one, it was pretty spicy, not gonna lie, so I think these peppers are pretty cool, in my honest opinion. Now let's get into the eggplants. And I have definitely been sleeping on the eggplants too hard this year. I think I really need to get back into harvesting these guys because they are alive and well and they need to be harvested. I also need to harvest this random cucumber here because this is about as good as it's gonna get. It's gonna die because, as you can clearly see, these guys aren't surviving too much longer. The colors aren't as rich as they were originally, but as you guys can see, our white eggplants, yes, those exist. They don't sell them at the stores though. At least I don't see it when I go to my local Walmart and go shopping. I don't ever see the white eggplants. Maybe I'm going to the wrong area of the store, you never know. And if you're wondering about this back area right here, yes, we got rid of all this stuff here. My camera's at 3%, so I gotta speed run this. And as you guys can also see, tons of eggplants over here coming in nicely. But I think most impressively is this eggplant right there. Now somehow I'm gonna be able to fit in both the cherry tomatoes and the normal tomatoes and the cucumbers. So yeah, harvesting these guys is pretty simple. Got a nice little cucumber here, and these nice little cherry tomatoes in here are looking pretty nice, and a random one-off normal tomatoes in here as well. I might just go in here later tonight and harvest. No, I'm joking. I'm not gonna go in here at like 8 p.m. and do a quick harvest. So let's get into the biggest portion of the garden. So right over here we have our biggest patch of tomatoes, which I believe there's like 80 some odd tomatoes. It's not gonna be this big next year. I'm gonna make a video, I think right before school year begins. I'm probably gonna talk about why I'm downsizing my garden next year, so spoiler alert. Now as you guys can also clearly see, we got rid of all the weeds that came down here, but we still kept our glorious sunflowers. As you guys can clearly see, the tomatoes are coming in really nicely in here, and most notably, our sunflowers are still there too. We have 3, 2 of them currently blooming, and 1 of them is in the process of it. This is the one that's in the process, and this is the one that's blooming. You guys can see 2 bumblebees on there, and there's another one right there, but it sadly fell down likely due to the thunderstorms having some pretty strong and gusty winds. So yeah guys, that was the garden tour. My camera's at 1%, so I gotta make this real quick. Don't forget to go down below and click that sub button, but most importantly, that video on the center of the screen is patiently waiting you, bro. I'll be seeing you in that video, guys. Catch you guys later.